Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, celebrating the 75th anniversary of Social Security, a big step forward in getting economic rights, inherent economic rights that belong to individuals under natural law, under God's law, if you will, which are the inalienable property of human beings. Getting that recognized through the sausage factory of the U.S. Congress, normally clogged with reactionary Republicans, Austrian school, and Chicago school ideologues, and all the rest. And August 14th, 1935, Roosevelt signed it, and the Republicans have never stopped with their foaming, rabid attacks. And their goal, let's make it clear, a society of paupers, a society of the poor, a society of coolie labor with wretched wages. That's the Republican program, always has been. Whether it's calling for a deflationary crash immediately or dismantling the social safety network, it's un-American because the U.S. tradition is high wages. High wages lead to high value added, lead to high profits, but real profits. That's capitalism, not the wage gouging, union busting that appeals to low technology, low wage, small business people in various rural settings, which is the dominant note of the Republican Party today. And, of course, we want to recall it's also the Democrats, the Obama Democrats of today, from Carter to Obama. These are the people, with Clinton featured in the middle of it, these are the people who have done most to try to dismantle the social safety net. When Bush the Younger attacks Social Security, people get the idea, they fight back. But when Obama does it, it's all stealth, it's all deception. So starting from Fidel Castro's warning of imminent nuclear war, take a look at that essay that I have up there on Tarpley.net. The Bushehr nuclear reactor, as we said, according to the Asia Times, is actively drilling for air attacks. They're shooting down drones. And then we have the drama of Lebanon, covered in that most recent article, is the shooting incident along the Lebanon-Israel border, which does not seem to me like it was really planned by the Israelis because of the heavy losses that they sustained. A lieutenant colonel gets killed. I think if they had been planning it, that guy would not be so far forward. I think this was a warning from Hezbollah about the Hariri investigation and the desire of the U.S. to use the UN investigation to frame up Hezbollah because of this Hariri assassination in 2005, when really the U.S., the British, and the Israelis are the prime suspects, and not certainly not the Syrians, who suffered the most, and not the Iranians either. But in response to this, we have Howie Berman of House International Relations trying to cut off aid to Lebanon, to the Lebanese army, because of this shooting, and then the Iranians jumping in saying, well, if you don't get money from the U.S., we'll be glad to provide that money. We'll be glad to provide you with the aid. The State Department at that point freaked out, saying, oh, if you get money from us, it's fine, but if you get money from Iran, that's a threat to your sovereignty. So you can't do that. And the White House, I believe, also getting into the act that the aid to Lebanon should continue. And otherwise, we have this very grim publicity stunt by the Iranians. They have a bunch of mass graves that they've dug in a desolate and arid part of their country. And they've had a photo opportunity of those graves saying, here, U.S. invaders, take a look at these graves. These will be occupied by your dead soldiers if you try this invasion. Well, I guess this speaks for itself. Now, the big thing that's going on in policy circles around this is the large article by Jeffrey Goldberg in The Atlantic, which is about the Israeli view of this, and this has gotten a lot of attention in the past week. Let's just try to give a summary of some of the main points. Goldberg says that he has been studying the question of an Israeli attack on Iran for about the last 7 years, which means it goes back to when Cheney began saying the first things about this. It's essentially, I guess it's the fall of 2003, right after, sometime after 9/11, and then the beginning of 2004 that this became a big issue. My own first significant essay is from It's from Memorial Day of 2004. You can find that one at tarpley.net. The question of a new 9/11, of course, was the heart of the matter for me. The finding of this article by Goldberg is that there's a better than 50% chance that Israel will attack Iran before July of next year. That the point of decision for the Israelis, where they make the decision whether to attack or not, is likely to be in December of this year, he says, and then the attack to be carried out at some point in the months thereafter, so late winter, early spring. Obviously, you want to watch out with this. There's a story that in 1941, Stalin, of course, was ready to launch his own invasion of Western Europe, and the preparations couldn't be hidden, and he put out the line, "I will attack Hitler in 1942." So I can't hide that I'm going to attack, but I can try to give you the bad idea or wrong idea about when I'm going to attack. The scenario in this Atlantic piece is that the sanctions will not be enough. You've got the foiling operations. The foiling operations, he says, include sabotage plus the assassination of Iranian scientists. Boy, that sounds like Operation Phoenix back there in Vietnam. Obama could order a strike, but he's a weak entry, essentially. Therefore, what it's going to be is Uzi, Arad, and Ehud Barak and Netanyahu will call the White House and say, our attack is on the way. They'll give the U.S. a fait accompli. The oil price will shoot up, and this will be a crisis far worse than anything with Iraq, or Afghanistan, or, I guess by implication, 9/11. They will attack Natanz, Qom, Esfahan, Bushehr, missile plants, and many other sites. One of the themes in this article is that they won't be able to fly across Saudi Arabia indefinitely, right? There'll be a limited number of sorties. I don't know what the basis of that is, because the Iranians, after the first one, will retaliate against Saudi Arabia as well. So Goldberg says he's done 40 interviews with Israeli policymakers. Some of them don't want to respond, but the consensus that emerges, the vector sum that emerges, is better than 50% chance of an attack by next July, that Israel cannot tolerate nuclear parity. Well, of course, nuclear parity is not within the reach of the Iranians at any time in the foreseeable future, because the Israelis, after all, have 200 to 300 or 500 nuclear weapons. The Iranians are light years away from that. The December deadline is to decide, and the Israelis are clearly using Obama as an excuse. In other words, his weakness allows them to proceed ahead. And we'll get to some of the psychodrama, the Oedipal problems of Netanyahu, reflected in this article in just a minute.